Let's talk straight. You've probably been told your whole life that the way to keep a woman happy is to always be doing something for her. Take her out to nice places, buy her the things she wants, be there every time she calls, make her feel like a queen. Sounds good on paper, right? But here's the reality I've seen time and time again. That's not what really keeps a woman interested. You can be the guy who bends over backwards, gives her the world, and still watch her walk away without a second thought. Why? Because what you do for her is never as important as what you are to her. Women aren't sitting around with a mental scoreboard counting every nice gesture you make. They're not keeping a tally of your favors. What they're feeling is much deeper and way more instinctive. It's about whether you carry yourself in a way that makes them feel drawn to you, respect you, and trust you. See, most men focus on the surface stuff because it's the easiest to understand. Gifts, trips, texts, attention. But women care far less about those things than they do about the core qualities you bring as a man. And when you know exactly what those qualities are, you stop running yourself into the ground, trying to earn her love, and start being the kind of man she doesn't want to lose. Over the years, I've narrowed it down to 5 things women actually want from a man. And the truth is, if you have these 5, everything else is optional. Miss them, and no amount of effort will save you. Let's break it down. Number 1, why doing more for her doesn't mean she'll want you more. I've met so many men who tell the same story. They meet a woman, things are going great, and they decide the best way to lock her in is to give her everything she could possibly want. They start texting her constantly, picking her up from work, buying little surprises, taking her to nice dinners. It's almost like they believe if they do enough good things, she'll see how valuable they are and never want to leave. But here's what usually happens. Instead of her becoming more invested, she starts pulling away. Your texts get answered slower. She's suddenly busier. The spark you felt in the beginning starts fading. When you're sitting there confused, wondering how doing more could lead to getting less. The problem isn't that she doesn't appreciate what you do. It's that doing more for her doesn't automatically make her feel more attraction. In fact, sometimes it does the opposite. When a woman sees you constantly overextending yourself for her, she starts to feel like she's the prize and you're chasing her approval. And once she senses you're trying to win her, instead of simply being yourself, her respect begins to slip. Think about it. If you met a woman who did everything for you from day one, cooked, cleaned, paid for things, rearranged her schedule for you, you might enjoy it at first. But eventually you'd start wondering why she's giving so much so soon. You'd question whether she's doing it because she truly values herself or because she's afraid of losing you. Men feel the same way. They want to be with a man who gives because he chooses to, not because he's hoping to. Earn her love. They're drawn to men who value their own time and energy, who have a life they're not willing to put on hold for anyone. When you make her the center of your world too quickly, you kill the mystery and the challenge that attraction thrives on. Here's the truth. Most men need to hear. A woman can enjoy your gifts, your time, and your attention. But none of that will make her stay if she doesn't feel genuine attraction and respect for you. You could buy her the most expensive jewelry, plan the perfect vacation, and still lose her to a guy who gives her none of that, but has the qualities she craves deep down. The key is to understand that giving should be an addition to the relationship, not the foundation of it. She should feel your presence, your confidence, and your direction in life before she ever feels the weight of your wallet or the number of favors you do. That's what keeps her invested. Number 2, the power of presence. She feels you before she sees you. Every man has walked into a room and seen another guy who didn't say a word, yet everyone seemed to notice him. He didn't need to be the loudest voice, the flashiest dresser, or the one telling the best jokes. There was just something about him that pulled attention his way. That something is presence. Presence is what a woman feels from you before you even open your mouth. It's the way you carry yourself, the way you look at her, the way you stand, the way you move. It's an energy that communicates without trying, and women pick up on it instantly. A man with presence doesn't have to do much to get noticed. His vibe speaks louder than his words. Think about a time you saw a man walk into a place and it was as if the atmosphere shifted. He wasn't seeking approval, he wasn't trying to make everyone like him, and he definitely wasn't overcompensating. He simply was. He was grounded, aware, and comfortable in his own skin. That's presence. Now compare that to a man who walks in fidgeting, looking around nervously, unsure where to put his hands, laughing too quickly, or over-talking to fill silence. He's doing more, but he's felt less. Everything can sense the difference immediately. I've seen this play out countless times. A woman might be talking to a guy who's trying hard to impress her, but the second a man with presence steps into the room, her attention subtly shifts. She might not even realize it, but her body language changes. She straightens up, her eyes follow him, and her curiosity sparks. That's because presence makes her feel something: safety, intrigue, and respect. Without him having to perform. Presence comes from living a life you're in control of, not one you're chasing. It's knowing you have value, whether she's interested or not. It's not about standing still and acting tough. It's about being fully in the moment and not scattered in your thoughts. When you're present, you listen better, you speak with more weight, and you make people feel seen when they're around you. For women, this is magnetic because presence signals strength, focus, and confidence. A man who's truly present is rare in today's world of distraction. He's not glued to his phone, he's not constantly seeking validation, and he's not rushing to prove himself. He makes her feel like the only person in the room when he chooses to give her his attention, and that's powerful. Presence isn't something you fake, it's something you build by taking care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally. When you own your space and move with intention, she'll feel you before she even sees you, and that's a connection you can't buy. Number 3. Lead without permission. When a woman's around a man who knows how to lead, something shifts instinctively, not because she consciously decided to submit, but because biology and psychology kick in. Women crave masculine direction, not control, not domination, but direction. Let me give you a real-world example. Michael is 42, divorced for 2 years. He recently started dating a 31-year-old woman named Kayla. Smart, beautiful, fiercely independent. On their first couple of dates, he did what most guys think is respectful. He asked, "So what do you feel like doing? Where do you want to eat? Is that okay with you?" Kayla didn't say anything negative, but the vibe was off. She later admitted to a friend, "He's sweet, but he kind of waits for me to lead. It's not attractive." By the third date, Michael shifted. Instead of playing the passive, nice guy, he simply said, "Be ready at 7, dress sharp, I've got a plan." He didn't ask for permission, he didn't over-explain. He took charge with calm confidence. And guess what? That's when Kayla leaned in. This doesn't mean ignoring her preferences or being inconsiderate. It means embodying masculine certainty, the kind that women deeply respect and respond to. You don't ask to lead, you just lead. And leadership isn't about volume or arrogance, it's about clarity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's it. No endless discussion, no over-analysis, just action. The Stoic mindset teaches you to be decisive not because you're always right, but because indecision kills attraction. Women don't want to feel like they're steering the emotional wheel of the relationship. That's exhausting. They want to relax into your energy, to trust your direction even if they're strong and capable on their own. Leadership also creates sexual polarity. When you lead, she feels safe to surrender, not in a submissive way, but in a balanced, natural dynamic that creates real intimacy. Think of it like dancing. If you've ever done partner dancing, you know that one person leads and the other follows. If both try to lead, the whole rhythm breaks. But when the man leads with intention, the woman shines. You don't lead because you want control. You lead because you have vision. You know where you're going, and you invite her into that. A woman doesn't want to be the compass and the motor. She wants to see if you have direction, and if your direction is worth joining. Too many men today have lost this. They tiptoe, they apologize, they wait for her to green-light every move, and then they wonder why she starts pulling away. The truth is, she doesn't want to mother you. She wants to feel your presence and clarity. So stop asking if it's okay to be a man. Own your path. Lead without waiting for permission. And watch what happens when she feels it. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, but something's still off, drop a comment. I've felt that. Because the next shift we're about to talk about will change the way she sees you without you saying a single word. Let's keep going. Number 4. Ambition is foreplay. Let's just say it straight. If you're a man over 35, and you've given up on chasing something bigger, something beyond the day-to-day, it shows. Women can feel that. They might not say it out loud, but deep down, they sense when a man has settled, when he's stopped reaching, when he's going through the motions. And you know what that does to attraction? It kills it. Not because she's shallow, not because she's some gold digger, but because feminine energy thrives in the presence of a man who's going somewhere. A man with direction, with mission, with movement. And not just movement in circles, but upward. Your ambition isn't just about business or career. It's the fire inside. The hunger to become more, to sharpen yourself, to expand your mind, your body, your world. It's that energy that says, I'm not done yet. That's what draws her in. Ambition is foreplay, not just sexual, but psychological. Because when you're a man who's constantly evolving, she knows she'll never fully figure you out. She knows she has to keep up. That mystery, that forward momentum, it keeps the dynamic alive. In contrast, when you hit pause on your purpose, when you sink into comfort and stop building, that same woman will start pulling away. Not out of malice, but because the polarity fades. This is why the Stoics, men who understood power, responsibility, and inner strength, never spoke of retirement. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while waging wars and writing meditations. Epictetus taught that the man who masters himself lives in alignment with nature. And nature is movement. Here's what Epictetus said. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. That quote is a litmus test. If you can't answer the question, what kind of man do I want to become? Then don't expect anyone to be inspired to follow you, least of all a woman. Ambition isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's not bragging about your plans. It's the quiet discipline of becoming. That's why women aren't obsessed with how much you have right now. They're drawn to the energy of a man who's building, because that energy is alive. It's full of possibility. It's sexy in a way that no expensive car or fancy title could ever be. Too many guys get this wrong. They chase women more than they chase excellence. And ironically, that's what turns women off. Here's the truth. She doesn't want to be the main event in your life. She wants to be part of a life that's already exciting, already on fire, already going somewhere with or without her. So if you've been wondering why things feel flat, if you've felt her energy shift, if you've caught yourself trying to spice things up in other ways, ask yourself this: what am I chasing that makes me magnetic to be around? If the answer is nothing, it's time to wake up. A man without a mission becomes stagnant, and a stagnant man becomes forgettable. The fire she's looking for isn't in your compliments. It's not in your gifts. It's in your drive. That's what keeps her attention. That's what makes her admire you. That's what keeps the spark alive. So don't just flirt with her. Flirt with your potential. Turn your ambition back on. And watch how everything shifts. If you know there's more in you and you're done playing small, type this in the comments. I want more. What's coming next will help you stop proving your worth and start living like you already have it. Let's move on. Number 5. Master your emotions. There's a reason why emotional control is one of the most attractive traits a man can have, especially to women. Because in a world that's constantly pulling us in 1,000 directions, most men are reactive. They explode. They chase. They panic when things don't go their way. But you're different, or at least you need to be. Let me tell you about Matt. He's 47, divorced, runs his own construction business in Arizona. Recently, he started dating Rachel, 34, a yoga instructor who was drawn to his maturity and steady energy. At first, things were smooth. But then came a moment. She cancelled plans last minute, twice. Old Matt, the younger version of himself, would have called her out, acted cold, maybe sent a guilt trip text. But this time, he paused. He didn't react. He observed. And that small act of emotional control, that was the moment she saw him differently, with more respect, more curiosity. Because he wasn't desperate. He wasn't trying to prove anything. He was grounded. That's what most men miss. Women don't just watch what you do, they watch how you respond. See, when you get triggered, when you act emotionally, especially around things like her attention, her mood, or her silence, you're showing her you can't handle pressure. You become predictable, weak, easy to manipulate. But when you master your emotions, you hold power. You create tension. You become magnetic. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Stoic strength isn't about pretending you don't feel anything. It's about not letting those feelings control your actions. That calm, that stillness, it doesn't just feel strong, it is strong. When a woman sees that you're unshaken, even when she tests you, when you don't flinch at silence, or mood swings, or passive-aggressive texts, she feels something she rarely feels with men. Safety, respect, desire. Because emotional mastery isn't coldness. It's clarity. It's the ability to make her feel things without you reacting to every little wave she sends your way. Let me bring in another example. James, 52, out of Austin. He's been dating younger women for years, but he kept losing their interest after a month or two. The pattern? He'd overshare, get too deep, too fast, reveal insecurities under the label of being vulnerable. What he didn't realize was he wasn't being emotionally mature. He was emotionally dumping. Once he learned to hold space for his own emotions without always expressing them outwardly, the whole dynamic changed. He became someone women could lean into, not lean on. That's the difference. When you're ruled by your emotions, you become her responsibility. When you master them, you become her sanctuary. So how do you build that? You slow down. You breathe. You step away before you respond. You choose your reactions instead of being pulled by them. It's a practice. It's a muscle. But once you develop it, it changes everything, not just in your relationships, but in your business, your leadership, your legacy. Here's the punchline. She doesn't want your emotional chaos. She wants your emotional gravity. That's what she respects. That's what she remembers. That's what makes her feel like she's dealing with a man, not a boy. If you've ever had to teach yourself not to react, type this in the comments. I felt that. You're going to want to see what comes next. It's not about what you say. It's about what you never have to say. Let's keep going. Number 6. Masculine energy is magnetic. Let's cut through the noise because here's the truth no one talks about. Masculine energy isn't about being louder, tougher, or more aggressive. It's about presence. It's about direction. It's about the silent confidence of a man who knows who he is and doesn't need to convince anyone of it. Women feel this energy instantly. It's not something you say, it's something you radiate. In fact, the more you try to be masculine, the less masculine you actually appear. That's because true masculinity is calm. It's rooted, it's grounded in purpose, not performance. And when you walk into a room with that centered energy, women notice. They might not say it, they might not show it, but trust me, they feel it. Now here's what happens when you don't own your masculine energy. You chase, you accommodate, you apologize for being a man, and she pulls back. Because the polarity collapses. There's no tension, no excitement, just flat, safe, nice energy that she might appreciate but won't be attracted to. You become invisible. This is where Stoicism gives you the edge. Because a Stoic man doesn't need to dominate. He simply is. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. That's masculine energy. It's not reactive. It's responsive. It doesn't beg for approval. It leads with conviction. It doesn't fear silence. It owns it. This kind of presence makes a woman lean in. It creates mystery. It builds sexual tension without a single touch. Now, here's where most men get it wrong. They confuse being masculine with being emotionless or cold. But masculinity isn't about shutting down your emotions. It's about having the discipline to control them, not suppress. Control. A truly masculine man feels everything, but he chooses what to express and when, with intention. This is why women test you. They're not always trying to hurt you. They're trying to feel you, to feel your weight, to see if they can trust your center to hold under pressure. If you collapse, get needy, start explaining, defending, chasing, your masculine frame dissolves. But if you hold your ground with poise, with quiet certainty, everything shifts. She feels the gravity of who you are, and gravity attracts. Look, masculine energy isn't something you perform. It's something you return to. It's what happens when you strip away the noise, when you stop seeking validation, when you start moving with purpose, when your words carry weight not because they're loud, but because they're few, and they're chosen. So ask yourself, do you walk into a room looking for someone to respond to you? Or do you bring the kind of energy that makes people instinctively notice? Because here's the deal, when your masculine energy is aligned, you don't have to say much. She just feels it. And when she does, everything about the interaction changes. She listens more. She plays more. She opens up. Not because you pushed, but because you pulled. Effortlessly. Silently. That's the difference between chasing and attracting. That's what separates noise from power. If you know what it's like to walk in your power, comment this below. I own it. Stick around. You're about to learn the one thing that turns emotional strength into sexual pull without ever crossing the line. Numbers even. Stop buying hair therapist. Let's get something straight. If you're always the guy she runs to with her problems, if she's calling you at midnight to cry about her ex, venting about her boss, spiraling about her life, and you're sitting there listening, offering advice, trying to make her feel better, you're not building attraction. You're becoming her therapist. And that's not a sexy role. Sure, it feels like connection. Sure, it looks like intimacy. But it's emotional labor. And once you're locked in that role, it's hard to come back from it. Let me give you a real example. There's a guy named Greg, 47, divorced, 2 kids, solid career. He met a woman named Samantha, 34, sharp, fun, going through a rough patch after a breakup. At first, there was chemistry. They'd flirt, they'd joke, there was that spark. But soon, every dinner turned into a therapy session. She'd cry, he'd console, she'd overthink, he'd offer solutions. And little by little, that energy shifted. She stopped dressing up. She stopped flirting. She stopped seeing him as a man and started seeing him as a safe space to dump emotions. He didn't notice the shift until she said the dreaded words, "I just need a friend right now." That's what happens when you overgive emotionally. You become a container for her chaos, instead of the spark that challenges her. You kill the polarity. Now don't get this wrong. I'm not saying you can't be supportive. I'm saying support isn't the same as therapy. Support is grounded, masculine. It's a boundary. It's saying, I hear you, but I'm not here to fix your life. It's standing firm in your energy while she moves through hers, not absorbing it, not rescuing her from it. Remember, attraction lives in tension, not in comfort. When you solve too much, you become predictable. When you listen too much, without asserting direction or playfulness, you become boring. Here's the Stoic view. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Epictetus. Don't talk her through her mess. Live your groundedness. Let her feel the contrast between her chaos and your calm. That's what draws her closer, not more talking, more nodding, more late-night text therapy. Want to know what happens when you stop playing therapist? She either stops calling, or she steps up. If she stops calling, she was never into you romantically. She just needed a crutch. But if she steps up, if she starts chasing, respecting your time, engaging with your energy, that's because you've given her something to desire again. You've given her a man, not a mirror. Here's what you do instead. Keep interactions light, flirtatious, grounded in presence. When she brings emotional chaos, listen briefly, then redirect. Say something like, sounds like a lot. You got this. Let's get out of our heads for a sec. Tell me about that wild trip you said you wanted to take. Shift the energy. Don't fix her. Lead her. Because the moment she starts seeing you as her emotional support dog, the attraction fades. The mystery dies. The fire dims. You want her to feel seen, but not by sacrificing your edge. Comment if you've ever been stuck in that zone. I've felt that. And stick with me, because what's coming next is the raw truth about what really turns her on, even when she won't admit it. Number 8. Be her escape, not her project. Here's a hard truth most men don't want to admit. The moment she sees you as a project, she stops feeling attracted to you. Women aren't looking to raise a grown man. They don't want to parent their partner. What they really crave, especially in the chaos of their lives, is relief. An escape. Someone who brings ease, not effort. So if your energy is constantly seeking her approval, trying to win her over, proving your value, fixing yourself just to fit what you think she wants, you've already lost. You've stopped being her escape. You've become her side hustle. And let's be honest, nobody's turned on by a chore. Now, think about what makes someone feel like escape. It's not just good looks, it's presence, calm, certainty. When you walk into a room and your vibe says, I'm not here to impress, I'm just here, you immediately shift how she feels around you. The Stoics lived this truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. That's your job. Be the calm inside the storm, not another storm she has to manage. But here's where most men mess it up. They think being a woman's escape means being passive, soft, quiet, easygoing to the point of invisibility. Being her escape is about being her contrast. In a world that's loud, fast, and chaotic, your slow, grounded presence feels like oxygen. In a dating culture full of boys who talk too much and chase too hard, your restraint becomes rare. When everyone else is trying to change to fit her, you show up as a man already whole. That's magnetic. Now if she starts trying to mold you, maybe she critiques how you dress, or nudges you to open up more, or makes jokes about you being emotionally unavailable. You have to listen beneath the noise, because sometimes what she's really testing is this. Can I trust him to hold the line, or will he shift just to please me? If you bend every time she pushes, she'll lose respect. And where there's no respect, there's no attraction. You don't win by performing. You win by being. So next time she brings you a problem, don't solve it. Hold space. Next time she's stressed out, don't overtalk it. Take her out Change the energy, lead her somewhere better. When she feels emotionally scattered, bring her into your calm. Let your presence do the work. Because when you become her escape from overthinking, from chaos, from boredom, you don't need tricks. You don't need game. You become the space she keeps coming back to without even knowing why. Leave a comment if this hit home. I am the calm. And the next part we're diving into, let's just say, it flips everything she thought she knew about masculine energy on its head. Stay with me. Number 9. Stay in the mystery. Let me ask you something real. When was the last time you didn't explain yourself? Didn't overshare? Didn't let her read your every thought like an open book? See, a man who reveals everything about himself too soon might feel honest. But to her, he's just predictable. And predictable doesn't spark attraction, it suffocates it. You see, mystery isn't about playing games. It's about maintaining a part of yourself that she doesn't quite understand yet, something she can't fully access. And that's exactly what makes her want more. The unknown triggers curiosity. Curiosity keeps her mind occupied with you. Let's get real. Women are emotional creatures. They respond to energy and presence more than to explanations or logic. If she already knows everything about you, if she can predict what you'll say next, there's no space for her imagination to run wild. And once that happens, the attraction fades, fast. Take Ben, for example. He's 46, divorced, successful, decent shape. He started dating Sarah, a 8-year-old graphic designer. At first, everything clicked. They laughed, had great conversations, and even better chemistry. But 2 weeks in, Ben started opening up too much. Every text was a paragraph, every thought a confession. He laid out his schedule, emotions, fears, what he had for lunch, all of it. The result? Sarah stopped replying. Why? Because the excitement died the second she felt like there was nothing left to learn. Mystery is what keeps her mind engaged. It's what she takes to bed at night, not the list of your achievements or how much you care, but the feeling of wondering, who is this man really? What's going on behind those eyes? If she knows the full picture too soon, you go from being a discovery to being a solved puzzle. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your thoughts are consumed with constantly trying to prove yourself, to be understood, you give away your depth before she's earned it. Stoicism teaches control not just of action, but of revelation. Don't give your essence away so freely. Being mysterious doesn't mean being silent or distant. It means showing restraint, holding back just enough that she feels the need to step forward. It's the art of pacing. A woman doesn't want to hear your entire life story on date 3, but she'll be captivated if you share just enough for her to want more. This is where many men mess up. They confuse vulnerability with dumping everything out on the table. Vulnerability is sharing selectively, with strength. It's letting her feel your presence before she fully knows your history. The mystery lives in what's unsaid, not what's hidden, and that distinction matters. What's more, being a mystery doesn't just attract her, it protects your energy. You're not letting her run your emotions, you're keeping control over what she gets access to. And that's powerful, because a man who doesn't give everything away too soon signals that he values himself, that he's in control of his world, and only invites in those who earn their place. If you've ever had a woman say, "I feel like I don't really know you," and it made you panic, relax. That's not a problem. That's your edge. That means she's still thinking about you, still wondering, still leaning in. Comment below. What's your take on this? I stay mysterious. And if this hit you the right way, wait until you hear what's next. You'll want to keep watching. Number 10. Let her chase the flame. There's something primal that gets triggered when a woman feels she can't quite reach a man. Not because he's cold or cruel, but because he's lit by a fire she didn't start. And here's the key, she doesn't own that fire. She sees it, she feels it, but she has to chase it. Too many men flip this. They become the flame chasers. They light themselves on fire just to keep a woman warm. And in doing so, they lose what made them attractive in the first place. Women aren't drawn to the man who burns himself out for her. They're drawn to the man who burns regardless. Let her chase the flame. Here's what that looks like in real life. You don't text first every time. You don't rearrange your schedule for every little whim. You don't chase validation, affection, or even clarity. You create a life so full, so rich, that she has to find her place in it. Let's bring in an example. Mark, 43, recently divorced, has been getting back into the dating world. He meets Jessie, 35, and they hit it off. At first, Mark tries hard to show interest. He texts constantly, plans ahead, buys her little things to show he's thinking of her. But the more effort he puts in, the more Jessie pulls away. Mark feels confused. Isn't this what women want? Attention, effort? Here's the truth. Women want to feel they earned your attention, not that it was handed to them like a participation trophy. When a man centers his life around her too fast, it signals one thing: lack of options, and worse, lack of purpose. The flame must burn independent of her. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. When you pour your energy into trying to impress or please a woman before she's earned it, you're not just wasting time, you're draining the fuel of your own fire. Let her chase the flame." This means you invest in your work, your body, your friendships, your routines, and you don't drop any of that just because she enters the picture. She's not the reason you wake up excited. She's a bonus. She senses that, and it magnetizes her. The masculine frame is rooted in direction. When your direction gets hijacked by a woman's approval, you've lost your flame. You've turned the fire outward, hoping she sees it and approves. But the fire was never meant to be for her approval. It was meant to light your path. Think about it like this. When she sees you locked in, doing what you love, focused, present, not needing her, that's when her chase begins. The mystery, the pull, the curiosity all ignite in that moment. She asks herself, what is it about this man? Why isn't he chasing me? Why do I feel so drawn to chase him? Let her chase the flame. It doesn't mean you ignore her or treat her with indifference. Quite the opposite. You engage, but with boundaries. You give, but with intention. You lead, but without losing yourself. And that balance is everything. A woman who chases the flame feels alive. She's not bored. She's not in control. And most importantly, she's not fully sure where she stands, and that uncertainty is electric. Controlled uncertainty is your advantage. Your energy should be warm, but not needy, present, but not over-invested, grounded, but not predictable. This is where Stoicism shines, because when you master yourself, you stop performing for her attention. You live aligned, unmoved, and in doing so, you become unforgettable. Let her chase the flame, because if you are the fire, you never have to beg to be seen. You just burn, and if she's the right woman, she'll come closer to feel the heat. And there it is. If there's one thing you take from this, let it be this: stop trying to convince anyone of your worth. When you live with direction, when you lead yourself before trying to lead anyone else, the right people feel it. Women don't fall for the man who proves himself. They fall for the man who doesn't need to. Because here's the truth. You're not here to chase approval. You're not here to dim your fire just so someone else can feel warm. You're here to build a life so solid, so magnetic, that she either rises to meet it or watches it pass her by. If that's the kind of man you're becoming, this channel was made for you. Subscribe now so you never walk that path alone. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.